Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about Escape Room Tournament of Champions, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to call it Escape Room 2. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons, so let's get to it. Pros. Obviously, this is the sequel to Escape Room, a movie that came out in January of 2019, the glorious pre COVID days, as I like to call them. And when the original came out, no one expected it to do all that well because it was a January movie. And if you know movies, you know that January is a death month for literally any movie that comes out. Because January is notorious for having a bunch of bad movies or just movies the studio just either gave up on, didn't care about, or were cheap enough to where they can make an easy profit. They just throw them on the January calendar and move on. That's how it's been since forever. And especially the first weekend of January is known for having a horror movie that's been this way for like the past decade. I mean, since like 2012 at least. With movies like The Devil Inside, Texas Chainsaw 3D, Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, Woman in Black 2. I know 2016-17 didn't have this, but The Forest and Bye Bye Man came out the second week of January, so still early January. In 2018, there was Insidious 4, then Escape Room, and the last one was Grudge 2020. And the unifying thing with a majority of the movies I listed is that none of them were good at all. Some were quite horrible, but some were able to make their money back, mainly because they were cheap. But Escape Room was a little different. See, although the movie wasn't great, it wasn't terrible. So it was better than literally a majority of January movies. Because the standard for January is just so low that even a mediocre movie is leagues and bounds better than the typical January movie. So it had that going for it. And also did well financially. It opened with like 19 million, had better than average legs for a horror movie, and ended up making like 155 million worldwide on like a 9 million budget. So naturally, Sony would want to make a sequel to it. And here we are with the sequel. So yeah, pro number one, sequel. Well, the sorry, the original was successful, so that should help the sequel at least. You know, having a successful predecessor is never a bad thing. So yeah, that's easy. Pro number one. Pro number two, this movie has a better release date than its predecessor because, as I already said, first weekend of January, not good. You do not want to come out. Really, you don't want to come out in January at all, but especially the first week. But you know, July historically, the pre-COVID days was a very lucrative, lucrative month, especially mid-July. So yeah, obviously, anything is better than January at this point. Anything's better than January, so I'd consider that a pro. The fact that it has a decent release date, unlike its predecessor. Another pro, there hasn't been a horror movie since Forever Purge, and that was 2 weeks ago. So the competition is non-existent at the moment. Although that will change in next, especially next week. But as of right now, no competition in sight, so it has the whole weekend to itself. Well, I mean, there is Space Jam 2, but do you really think those two movies are going to eat each other's audience? I sincerely doubt that. So, yeah, no competition. Yeah, easy pro. What else can I say about pros? Yeah, I can't think of anything. Cons. Oh boy, cons. This movie isn't good. From what I've heard, it's just not good. But the original wasn't all that great either, so I don't think reviews are gonna kill the movie, but they're not gonna help it either. So I guess we consider that a con. But a real con for this movie is that this is definitely one of those sequels where many people are just gonna be like, did this need to happen? Did anyone want this? And we've had plenty of sequels over the years that made people ask that question. I mean, trying to think of the last one I can think of where people asked that question. I guess Peter Rabbit 2, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard come to mind. Forever Purge, I guess. Trying to think of one that was super unnecessary. Darn, I can't think of anything. If it probably came out The Boy 2. I just remember that. That did not need to happen at all, but it happened anyway. But that was like right before COVID, so that was a long time ago. And I'm getting similar vibes from this. It's just like, why? I mean, I get the first movie was successful, it was profitable, you made a lot of money off of it, but that doesn't mean people are just gonna naturally gravitate towards a sequel. They're not gonna beg for a sequel. It's not like, say, the Sonic movie where once people saw Tails in the post-credit scene, people wanted that sequel immediately. All right, it's not like that. It's definitely not like that at all. So yeah, that's an easy con for this movie. Is that it's an unnecessary sequel. Uh, Another con. Well, next week we have Old, which I th- I'm pretty sure that's a horror. It should be a horror movie, at least somewhat of a horror movie. So that'll definitely kill Escape Room 2's legs because it'll be direct competition. But we're talking like direct competition. This movie won't have anything to want to deal with anything until Don't Breathe 2, but that comes out a few weeks into August. So yeah, but still, Old will hurt it a little bit. So that's a con. Another con, obviously. Well, the pandemic. It's not is nowhere near as bad as it once was, but still, it's a tiny factor. Well, it's not as big as a factor as it once was, but still, it's still there. It still exists, and it's still gonna hurt some movies. So yeah, I can't think of anything else. Yeah. All right. Opening weekend. This is hard. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the horror movies in the pandemic as a whole. It's been very mixed. I mean, sure, you got Quiet Place 2. You got Conjuring 3. That's the best we got out of the pandemic. And after that, you got Forever Purge, which has done mediocre. Then you got Spiral, which did mediocre, and then a bunch of just crap on the bottom. So yeah, horror hasn't been doing too great in the pandemic, and I don't see this doing any better, to be honest. So anyway, opening weekend. It's definitely not going to make Conjuring 3 money. It's not going to make Quiet Place 2 money. I don't even think it's going to make Forever Purge money. And that's a low bar, too. I think it'll open. If it's lucky, it'll open with 10 million. But I'm going to be more realistic and say it's going to open with like 8 million on par with Spiral. I think that's reasonable. It'll open with like 8 million. It'll make like 20 million total. Something like that. I don't know. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times before, but this time I think I'm right. I think this movie is just not it's just not going to cut it. At least box office wise it's not. But yeah. That's it for that. We got one more movie to talk about. Space Jam 2. That's going to be just great to talk about. And then next week, we got two new movies. We got Old, we got Snake Eyes, and The week after that, we got Green Knight, Jungle Cruise, and Stillwater. And then that's the end of July. So, yeah. But anywho, that is it. That is all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage with all previous prediction videos I made this year, from Quiet Place 2 to F9 to Black Widow to Godzilla vs. Kong to Mortal Kombat, Demon Slayer, Peter Rabbit 2, Cruella. I literally can just go on and go on. Boss Baby 2, who can forget that? Pretty much all the main movies that have come out this year. If you want to watch any of those videos or any of my past prediction videos I made over the past few years from 2019 to 2020, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series, which hasn't been updated in quite a long time because there's no reason to update it because nothing has happened. I think the worst is over. But if you just want to watch that series, just that you're up to date on what's going on with a lot of these movies that were supposed to come out, you can go right ahead. There's 71 episodes to this point. So if you want to watch any of those, you can go right ahead. It's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. Recap for July will come out first week of August. But if you want to check out any of my past recap videos, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.